Pleasant greetings. This is Anuradha. The topic of discussion is from women's writing on a poem titled I Am Not That Woman by Kishwar Nagit. Before moving into the poetic lines, let's have a short intro about the author and the poem. Kishwar Nagit is a Urdu poet, was born in Uttar Pradesh and moved to Lahore during the partition of 1947. She has played many roles including feminist poet, children's book writer, civil servant and radio broadcaster. Her poems have been translated into 11 languages with over 10 volumes of poems to her credit. Nahid, who won the Sitara-e-Imtiaz, Pakistani's highest award for her contribution to literature. Kishwar Nahid is credited with challenging the established literary tradition of Pakistan with her writing of free verse. Nahid sees herself as a woman who speaks from the margins, making an effort at changing the thoughts and modes of her contemporaries. Her poetic works, spanning more than 4 decades, chronicle her experiences as a woman writer engaged in the creative expression of the pressures that women face in a conservative patriarchal society. Let's see a short intro about the poem. The poem is an articulation of the woman's position and experience in a patriarchal society. The poem recalls the famous verses of Maya Angelou's Phenomenal Woman, in that the speakers of both poems present the spirit of women as unbroken despite years of oppression, while Angelou's Phenomenal Woman is positioned at the intersection of race and gender. Nahid's speaker is at the interlocking site of religion and tradition. Both women seek to articulate an identity that moves beyond those imposed on her. The poem is to be read in the context of intersectionality as framed by Kimberly Crenshaw, which is a part of post-colonial feminism, a movement that seeks to address the concerns of women from non-white cultures. For the non-white women, the female experience includes not only an encounter with patriarchy, but also encounters with racial, religious, and ethnic oppressions. The poem is an instance of a woman from a non white culture speaking for herself and identifying her agency, as well as a right to define her own concerns. The poem's title exemplifies the theme and articulation of the complexities of female subjectivity. The I in the title refers to the non-conformist speaker of the poem who questions the place of women within religious and gender definitions. The phrase that woman refers to the general conception of women as objects, and the not negates the notion of women's silence and stereotype under patriarchy. The poem is divided into 5 stanzas, with the speaker addressing an audience of men. In each stanza, she initially verbalizes the stereotype of the traditional women in a patriarchal society, only to break the stereotype and assert her individuality as a subject in her own right. Now let's move on to the poetic lines. I'm not that woman selling you socks and shoes. Remember me? I am the one you hid in your walls of stone while you roam free as the breeze, not knowing that my voice cannot be smoothed by stones. The poem begins with the speaker referring to a poster of a woman half naked and selling shoes and socks. It is a typical image of a woman as an object used to market a product usually aimed at the male buyer. The image represents the female body, objectified under the male gaze and perceived as a passive receptacle for patriarchal values. The speaker recalls this image to underscore the cultural stereotype of women's sexuality, where their intellect is ignored and they are reduced to a body that is exploited for the pleasure of men. The speaker continues with the articulation of women's secondary position within patriarchy. They are confined within the walls of the house, while men are free to move outside the walls. Phrase free as a breeze recalls the freedom and omnipresence of men within patriarchy. The stanza introduces the notion of gendered spaces. Patriarchy defines the private space of the home or family as the typical female spaces. The public spaces outside the home are those designated for men. The definitions are narrow and oriented towards keeping women out of public spaces. In a patriarchal society, women within the home assume the roles of daughters, wives, and mothers with specific behavioral codes. In the context of the poem, the speaker believes that her confinement is an instance of men trying to exercise control over women. However, men present the idea of confinement as safety. The double standards are absurd because even when physically confined, the voice of women cannot be suppressed. The speaker asserts that women are beyond control and will express themselves artistically even within the narrow definitions of patriarchy. Let's move on to the second stanza. I am the one you crush with the weight of custom and tradition, not knowing that light cannot be hidden in darkness. Remember me? I am the one in whose lap you picked flowers and planted thorns and embers, not knowing that chains cannot smoother my fragrance. The second stanza articulates the oppression of women within the interlocking public discourse of law, tradition, and religion. Feminists believe institutions of marriage and motherhood are tools of patriarchy that seeks to enslave women, keeping them away from the self-expression outside the sphere of the home. According to the speaker, tradition and customs serve the politics of patriarchy, where female passivity is normalized through the authority of tradition. The woman's body is seen as the site of sexual passion, context, and incarceration, as seen through the images of the flowers with thorns and embers. They are presented as chains that seek to enslave women. However, the speaker is contemptuous of the chains and believes that they cannot subdue the incandescent mind of women. She turns the female body as the site of resistance. The poem presents the figure of the woman framed within male consciousness. The speaker presents how religion, tradition, and culture become descriptive forces that define and control women's lives. Let's move on to the third stanza. I am the woman whom you bought and sold in the name of my own chastity, not knowing that I can walk on water when I am drowning. In the third stanza, she examines another tool of this prescriptive tradition, chastity or sexual purity. Within a patriarchal society, the woman's body is the site on which social laws of morality and values are inscribed. Their virtue becomes emblematic of a tradition that is considered timeless and significant for society's survival. It also becomes a means of totalizing control over women. However, the speaker asserts that even when drowning under the weight of this tradition that led to her being bartered to the highest bidder, She performs the miracle of walking on water. The image recalls Christ's vision to underscore the resilience of women in the face of adversity. The fourth stanza recalls the idea of marriage as a bargain between the strong male and the weak female. The weaker sex is considered a burden dependent on the powerful for their survival. The notion of female subjection is accepted as natural and internalized by both sexes. The speaker believes that such an acknowledgement of weakness leads to the continued oppression of women, where such minds imprisoned within patriarchy value systems can never be free or independent. She indicts both sexes for oppressing and passively enduring the same. The prisons she refers to are in the mind and are obstacles to the freedom of the individual. The poem is political verse articulating female subjectivity within the landscape of religious, social, and gender repression. For women to realize themselves, they need to recognize their true selves, hidden, smothered, crushed, chained, sold, imprisoned, and subjugated within the discourse of patriarchy. Moving on to the final and fifth stanza. I am the commodity you traded in, my chastity, my motherhood, my loyalty. Now it is time for me to flower free. The woman as that poster, half naked selling socks and shoes. No, no, I am not that woman. In the final stanza, the speaker presents the female body as the site of resistance. The speaker recognizes the strengths that were used against her loyalty, virtue, and piety. With the recognition comes the realization that she is not the woman as perceived and presented by men. With the realization comes the articulation of the silenced self, seeking an individual identity different from that imposed on her. The speaker in the final line, that is a repetition of the first line, and the title of the poem appropriates the female body away from patriarchy and defines herself. Let's see a small recap of this poem in gist. The poem is political verse articulating female subjectivity within the landscape of religious, social, and gender repression. The poem is to be read in the context of intersectionality as framed by Kimberly Crenshaw. The poem's title exemplifies the theme and articulation of the complexities of female subjectivity. In each stanza, the speaker verbalizes the stereotype of the traditional women in a patriarchal society, only to break the stereotype and assert her individuality as a subject in her own right. The poem presents the figure of the woman framed within male consciousness. The speaker presents the female body as the site of resistance. The speaker in the final line appropriates the female body away from patriarchy and defines herself. Hope this video is useful to you. Now I bid you adieu. Thank you.